Hello, everybody. Today, I would like to share a story of my personal journey with Rotary and how Rotary has helped me heal my scars and become an effective human being. I want to offer you the same opportunity of enriching your life by knowing Rotary and its power. Now, I was born into a true, privileged white Afrikaner family in South Africa, and my forefathers were colonized, part of the colonization of the whole area, the power of the Dutch Reformed Church and the establishment of the Afrikanerdom. And I grew up in a family, a church and a community that not only accepted the premise that all races other than white were inferior and subservient, but that it was our mission from God to keep it that way. And today, this is not only a scar on my psyche, but on the world that allowed this to happen. But luckily, I grew up in Zambia, and although an idyllic life for a child, it also was a raw and heartbreaking experience where I was soon exposed to the reality of man's inhumanity to man. Subjugation and racism and lack of respect for a human's right to be equal and receive equal opportunity is insidious in every facet of our society. There is no one who has not been exposed to it. My first exposure to this reality was when revolution came to the then Belgian Congo, and my mother, as head of the Red Cross, was in charge of evacuating all the refugees from the area. I was soon involved, and it was my duty to meet the planes as they landed with their loads of refugees. That is, until that plane landed with more than 30 Roman Catholic nuns from one of the big convents that had been attacked by the rebels. These women had been raped, and then they had had their hands cut off. I remember standing at the door of the plane, the smell, the soft noises, and the little prayers. And my world fell apart. I was 15 years old, and the first time that I was presented with a huge challenge of how does one live with this and overcome this reality of man's inhumanity to man. Luckily for me, soon after I left for university in South Africa. And these were very unsettled times with South Africa becoming a republic and moving into the depths of apartheid. This was the decade of defiance. There were demonstrations by the oppressed, charismatic leaders such as Walter Sisulu and Nelson Mandela who were defying the world. And I found voice to my thoughts and my questions. I joined the banned African National Congress Party and joyously stepped into the demonstrations against the oppressive apartheid regime and banged straight into the cudgel of a policeman. How dared I, a white South African, speak against the government? I remember the burning feeling of righteousness and anger, the adrenaline rush, and the brick wall of reality when my body hit that bare cement floor of the women's prison in the old fort. My hands were handcuffed behind my back. The cold of that bare concrete floor and the quiet of those around me and the fear. That fear came rushing in. Fear so great that I honestly cannot describe it. And remember, I was of the privileged white Afrikaner race. And these memories are a challenge that I have yet to overcome. But luckily, some time ago, I took a team of interactors to South Africa, and our wonderful Rotarian hosts took us on a tour of Constitution Hill, where the Court for Truth and Reconciliation now stands. Driving up the hill to our destination, I was so excited to be going to such a symbol of change. But I could feel the hair on the back of my neck rising up. I could feel the cold of a concrete floor, and I could feel this uncontrollable fear starting to consume me as I recognized that today I had to face my past and the fears that still rise in my soul, because Constitution Hill, now the symbol of change and promise, and presided over by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, was built on the horror of the old fort. So more than 30 years to my last footsteps on that hill, I joined the students for the tour. And first we started with the men's prison. And again, my world fell apart. I had never allowed myself to face that reality, to actually see that whipping post rack that men were tied to while they received the punishment delivered by the order of a court. 50 lashes because you did not have your identity documents with you. I cannot describe the shame that I felt that day, knowing that I had never faced up to this challenge of man's inhumanity to man. But in looking back at what has followed since then, I realized that Rotary has been my solace, and that the vehicle that has allowed me to overcome my life's challenges. The magic of Rotary allows ordinary people like us to accomplish extraordinary things. And our service not only transforms others' lives, but is in itself a life-changing experience for every one of us involved. Through Rotary, we become a part of something larger than ourselves, and we make Rotary greater than the sum of its parts. So I had a dream. I had a dream when I was finishing school in Zambia, and my dream was to be this great big African game ranger. But life, much as it is in some parts of the world today, has standards and barriers for girls, and I was not allowed to follow my dream. However, I made myself a promise that one day before I died, I would fulfill this dream. So for my 60th birthday, I gave myself this gift of doing my degree in wildlife management and nature conservation, and off I went to northern South Africa, to the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, to do my practical. And what a challenge, and what an adventure. But it was this experience that made me come to grips with the impossible dreams of youth living in impossible circumstances and the challenges that they have to overcome on a daily basis. One morning, we left the game reserve to take one of our camp housekeepers to the nearest village to drop off her children so that they could return to school. A young girl of 9 and a boy of 7 were left on the side of a dusty little dirt road. As we drove away, I saw the tears pouring down the mother's cheeks. So I turned to her and asked her, "Are you sad? Are you sad that you are leaving your children?" And she looked at me and she said, yes, of course I'm sad, but mostly I am very frightened. As this community believes that if a man has sex with an underage girl, he will be protected from AIDS. And I do not know if my daughter will be safe. In this instance, I was handed a challenge that appeared insurmountable. But there is always a solution. I was a member of a Rotary Club, a member of this powerful organization, and the answer lay there. So we've built schools, we've set up medical clinics, and we've sent teams to work with the communities. Rotary has the solution to overcoming this huge cultural belief challenge. I've returned to those villages many times, and on one of my visits, the children in one of the schools performed a little play. Remember, a play performed by 5 children under the age of 7. Now, the name of the play is "The AIDS is Coming." And this is how it goes. AIDS is a killer. No, AIDS is not a killer. You can wear a condom. Come, let's go to the doctor to be tested. A little pretend doctor and nurse and a little patient pretend to take blood and do a blood test. The doctor turns to the little patient and says, so sorry, you are positive. The child cries, and her friends comfort her by saying, don't worry, let's go shopping and buy your drugs. Here, now, is a community that has overcome a challenge of cultural beliefs that led to terrible circumstances. And can you imagine how difficult this must have been for the community to change? Last year, again, on a visit to the school, another part to this play. A little young girl, 5 years old, stands in front of me, all dressed in pink, and she says, "This is my body. It is a temple of God. Do not touch my body. You do not have my permission to touch my body, and you do not have God's permission to touch me." Young girls being taught, young girls being empowered. These young girls, and in fact every child in the world, needs to have opportunity. As highlighted in the story I told, it is education that changes the world and gives opportunity. Desmond Tutu said, "There comes a point in life that we need to stop pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they are falling in." Education. Thank you, Jennifer. Education is the gateway to economic progression and thus the answer to solving global poverty. School desks play a prominent role in this. Quality education can provide a way out of poverty for these poverty-stricken children around the world. There are millions and millions of children throughout the world who have no access, who have the most abysmal facilities when it comes to their education. And this was seen and recognized by the Archbishop Tutu. So he and his family introduced the Tutu desk, a very cost-effective, portable and fun desk that any child can benefit from. I have seen this Tutu desk change a child from having to work on a bare floor, even the naked earth, and think of them sitting under a tree, to having a strong, stable surface that actually belongs to them. By providing these $12 desks to the impoverished, this initiative addresses both education and poverty simultaneously at a very, very reasonable cost. You know, it was with great sadness we said goodbye to Archbishop Tutu just after Christmas. This great man, he's left us, but his legacy lives on. And it's especially in the opportunity that we now have of helping those that have so little come to reality. But again, quoting from the Archbishop himself, he said, "Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Our President-elect Jennifer has seen the power of education. She's become excited with the idea of us all coming together and doing our bit of good and supporting this Tutu-Desk project over the next year. It can be as big or as small as you want it to be, but just think of the power of providing those children with the means to some form of quality education. We will be sending you all the information that you possibly could need after this assembly on just how you can get involved. And Jennifer and I really look forward to helping you help the children of the world. So let me close by thanking you for being partners in Rotary service. Your role cannot be measured. You are the strength, the comfort, and the support. And you are full partners on this journey as you imagine what service means in our world. Thank you, and go in peace.